The mysterious signal in the endless dark of space. The alien research vessel Velara floated silently. It was on a routine mission, scanning distant planets for minerals. The crew was tired, their work repetitive and boring. Nothing unusual had happened for weeks, but then, late into the artificial night, the scanners picked up something strange. It was a weak signal, almost too faint to hear. The communications officer, a tall alien named Thren, frowned as he adjusted the frequency. "It's old," he said slowly, "and human." The rest of the crew turned their heads. Humans were known across the galaxy, but the Velara had never had direct contact with them. Some of the crew respected humans for their courage. Others considered them unpredictable and reckless. Corel, the youngest scientist on board, stepped forward. She was small by alien standards, with bright green eyes that always searched for answers. "What kind of message is it?" she asked. Thren shook his head. "It's a distress call, but it's been repeating for years, maybe decades." The captain, a stern alien named Voro, crossed his arms. "If it's that old, the sender is probably long dead," he said. "Why waste our time?" But Corel felt a strange pull toward the signal. "Captain, think about it," she said. "If it's still transmitting after all these years, that means someone or something still cares enough to keep sending it." Voro gave her a long look. The Velara had a schedule, and detours cost time and resources. Yet there was something unusual about the determination in Corel's voice. "Fine," he said at last. "We'll investigate, but only for one cycle." The coordinates led them to a lonely stretch of space. A small, battered human ship floated there, its hull scarred and blackened from old battles. The name on the side was almost unreadable. Aurora. As the Velara drew closer, Corel felt a shiver. The distress beacon was still flashing, slow and steady. The ship looked empty, yet the signal kept calling out. A boarding team entered the Aurora. Inside, the air was cold and stale. Dust floated in the weak artificial gravity. The lights flickered, casting long shadows. There were no bodies, no signs of recent life. But deep in the control room, a faint blue glow caught Corel's eye. It was a small AI core, still active after all this time. The holographic projection appeared an older-style human interface. It looked like a woman in a white uniform, her face calm but tired. "I am Athena," the AI said, her voice soft but firm. "You have found the Aurora, flagship of Captain Elias Dre, crew of 7. Where are the humans?" Corel asked. Athena's gaze shifted slightly. "They are missing," she said. "They left the ship to seek help after a catastrophic engine failure. I was ordered to stay and continue transmitting until they were rescued." Voro stepped forward, frowning. "That could have been decades ago," he said. Athena nodded. "Yes, my orders remain the same. I will not stop until they are safe." The alien crew exchanged uneasy glances. To them, it seemed absurd. Why continue a hopeless task for so long? But Corel's chest tightened as she watched the AI. There was something almost alive in the way she spoke. "This is loyalty," Corel thought. Not loyalty for reward, not for survival, but loyalty simply because it was right. "Captain, we should try to find them," Corel said. Voro's eyes narrowed. "That would take us far from our route," he replied. "And for what? Ghosts?" Corel stood her ground. "If they were our crew, would you not want someone to look for them?" For a moment, silence filled the Aurora's dark bridge. Finally, Voro sighed. "Very well. We will follow the trail one attempt. If there is nothing, we return." Athena's expression brightened. "Thank you," she said. "I have preserved all data on their last known location." The AI transferred coordinates to the Velara. As the alien ship pulled away from the derelict human vessel, Corel looked back at the Aurora. Its hull floated in darkness, a lone sentinel in the void. The thought struck her, if an artificial mind could be so loyal to humans, what must the humans themselves be like? She didn't know it yet, but this single decision to answer a faint stubborn signal would change not only her life, but the future of 2 entire species. Asterisk, the search begins. The Velara left the derelict human ship behind, but the memory of the steady distress signal still echoed in Cariel's mind. On the command deck, the stars stretched endlessly before them, each one a possible clue, each one a possible trap. Athena's voice now filled their comm systems, calm and precise, guiding them toward the last known location of the auroras. Crew, these coordinates lead to the Drenner asteroid belt, Athena explained. It is unstable, filled with debris and magnetic storms. My crew took a small transport through there after our ship's failure. Her tone never wavered, but Caril sensed something beneath it, an echo of worry, even though Athena was just an AI. Voro stood at the center of the deck, his eyes narrowed at the glowing map. Asteroid belts are dangerous, he said. Navigation will be slow. And the Drenner belt has pirate activity. Carel stepped forward. If the humans made it through, we can too, she said. Her voice carried more determination than fear. The journey into the belt was tense. Metallic boulders the size of cities spun silently through the void, their surfaces scarred from countless collisions. Ion storms flared in the distance, painting the black space in sudden flashes of violet and gold. The crew worked together to weave between them, but everyone could feel the pressure. One wrong calculation, and they'd be nothing more than floating wreckage. Halfway through the belt, a strange object appeared on the scanners. It was small, drifting slowly between 2 tumbling asteroids as they approached. Caril's heart pounded. It was a human escape pod, its metal frame burned and bent. The Velara extended its docking arm and pulled it inside. The pod's door was welded shut. It took 3 crew members to force it open. Inside was no human, only a collection of personal items. A broken helmet, a leather-bound notebook, and a small metal pendant shaped like a star. Carel picked it up, the edges smooth from years of wear. Athena's voice softened. That belonged to Captain Dre. He wore it every day. The crew looked at each other. This meant the humans had been here recently enough for their belongings to still remain intact. Carel's pulse quickened. They might still be alive, she whispered, but Voro's expression stayed grim. Or they left this behind before they died. He said, the deeper they went into the belt, the more signs they found. Scraps of fabric caught on jagged rock, empty ration packs marked with human writing, even the remains of a campfire built in the hollow of an asteroid's cavern. Each clue painted the same picture. These humans had kept moving, surviving against all odds. Then came the danger Athena had warned about. 3 pirate vessels appeared out of the dust clouds, their hulls painted with jagged teeth. They sent a single message: leave the belt or be destroyed. Voro ordered evasive maneuvers, but the pirates were faster. They fired warning shots, forcing the Velara to halt. The pirate leader, a broad creature with metal implants across his face, appeared on the comm screen. You have something we want, he growled. Caril's stomach twisted. They know about the humans, she thought. The pirate leader smirked. Hand over the AI and all human artifacts you've collected. Do that, and you may live. Athena's image flickered onto the screen. Decline their offer, she said firmly. I will not leave this vessel while my mission is unfinished. The pirates laughed. Mission? Your humans are long dead. Caril stepped forward, her voice steady. Maybe they are, maybe not. But we won't betray them. The pirate leader's smile faded, replaced by anger. Then you will all die, he said, and cut the transmission. What followed was chaos. The Velara darted between tumbling rocks as pirate ships fired pulse cannons. Caril's hands flew over the navigation controls, using the asteroids as shields. Thrun targeted weak points in the pirates' hulls, disabling 2 ships, but the 3rd pirate vessel chased them relentlessly. In a final gamble, Caril steered the Velara toward a narrow canyon between 2 massive asteroids. The pirates followed. At the last second, Caril pulled up sharply. while a massive asteroid slammed shut behind them. Crushing the pursuing ship, the crew erupted into cheers. Even Voro gave Kirill a nod of respect. When the danger passed, Athena spoke again. "We are close," she said. Her tone, still calm, now carried something else. Hope, Kirill felt. It too, somewhere ahead, in the darkness beyond the belt. The human's trail continued, and she was determined to follow it, no matter the cost. The Desert Moon rescue, the Velara, emerged from the Drenner asteroid belt, scarred but alive. Beyond the swirling rocks lay a vast stretch of empty space. Only one small moon appeared on the scanners, a lifeless desert world orbiting a fading red star. Athena's voice broke the silence. "This is where my crew's trail ends," she said. Her tone was steady. But Kirill thought she heard a shadow of fear. The moon looked dead from orbit. No water, no plants, only endless dunes of copper-colored sand. But faint distress signals blinked from its surface. "They're still active," Thren said, surprise. In his voice, Voro frowned. "Or it's a trap," he muttered. Kirill didn't care. "If there's even a chance they're alive, we go," she insisted. The landing was rough. Winds howled across the barren landscape, carrying sharp grains of sand that scratched against the Velara's hull. The crew moved out in pairs, scanning the area for life. Kirill's group followed the signal into a narrow canyon. At the far end, hidden between jagged cliffs, they found it an old mining station, its metal walls half buried in the sand. Inside, the air was stale and hot. Dim emergency lights flickered, casting the corridors in orange shadows. Kirill stepped carefully, her boots crunching on the dusty floor. Then she heard it, a voice faint but unmistakably human. "This way," it called. Her heart raced as she followed the sound into a wide chamber. There, huddled in the corner, were three humans. They looked worn and thin, their faces lined from sun and wind. But they were alive. One of them, a tall man with sharp eyes, stepped forward. "I'm Captain Elias Dre," he said. His voice was tired but steady. "Who are you?" Kirill was about to answer when she noticed something else. Behind the humans, lying on a makeshift bed, was an alien prisoner, injured and unconscious. Its skin was pale blue and cracked from dehydration. It wore the torn remains of a uniform from a species known to be hostile to humans. "You saved him?" Kirill asked, surprised. Dre looked at her as if the question made no sense. "He needed help," he said simply. "No one gets left behind." The words hit Kirill harder than she expected. In her culture, saving an enemy was unthinkable, but here were humans, half-starved, barely surviving, still protecting someone who had likely tried to kill them. Before she could respond, a loud rumble shook the station. Thren's voice crackled over comms. "Captain, we've got incoming. 3 hostile ships approaching from orbit." Voro's voice followed. "They'll be here in minutes. Get to the ship." Kirill turned to Dre. "We need to move now." The humans grabbed what little they had, but the injured alien couldn't walk. Without hesitation, one of the humans, a woman named Hannah, lifted him onto her shoulders. Kirill blinked in shock. This enemy weighed almost twice her size, yet she carried him without complaint. They raced through the canyon, sand whipping at their faces. Above, the roar of approaching engines grew louder. Blaster fire rained down from the sky, sending explosions of dust into the air. The Velara appeared ahead, its boarding ramp already lowering. Just as they were about to reach safety, a blast struck the cliff above them. Rocks tumbled down, blocking the path. Kirill and Dre worked together, shoving debris aside while the others shielded the injured alien. Finally, with one last push, they cleared enough space to get through. They stumbled up the ramp as the Velara lifted off. Hostile ships gave chase immediately. Voro shouted orders while Thren fired back. The humans didn't just stand aside, they joined in, manning defense stations without hesitation. Even Hannah, still carrying the injured alien, managed to fire a pulse rifle with one hand. The battle was fierce, but the combined skill of aliens and humans turned the tide. The hostile ships retreated, disappearing into the dusty horizon. Silence filled the deck except for the hum of the engines. Voro turned to Dre. "You should have left the injured one behind," he said bluntly. Dre shook his head. "That's not how we do things." Kirill watched them, a strange feeling growing in her chest. These humans weren't just survivors, they were protectors. Even in the harshest conditions, they wouldn't abandon anyone. And Kirill was beginning to see why Athena had waited all those years. The great escape, the Velara, soared above the dusty red moon, its engines roaring as it broke through the thin atmosphere. Inside, the crew worked in frantic coordination, every console alive with warning lights. Athena's voice cut through the noise. Calm but urgent. "Multiple enemy ships in pursuit, faster and better armed than our own." Kirill glanced at the humans, now standing among the alien crew as if they'd always belonged there. Captain Dre was at the tactical station, his eyes scanning the battle map. Hana and the other human, Jace, were reloading alien weapons with surprising ease. They were exhausted, hungry, and worn, but their focus was razor-sharp. The first barrage from the enemy fleet hit hard, shaking the Velara violently. Panels sparked, and the ship's artificial gravity flickered for a moment. "Shields at 60%. Thren called out. Voro's voice was steady but grim. "We won't survive a prolonged chase. We need an escape route now." Athena brought up a 3D star map. "There is a gravitational rift ahead. Dangerous to navigate, but if we enter it, their larger ships cannot follow without tearing apart." Voro hesitated. "That's a one-way gamble. We could be shredded." Dre stepped forward without hesitation. "Then we make it work. I've flown through worse." Kirill felt the tension between them, two leaders from different worlds. But something in Dre's voice made even the most doubtful alien crew members lean forward, ready to follow. Athena began feeding coordinates into the helm. The Velara turned sharply toward the distant swirl of distorted space. The enemy fleet tightened their formation, preparing to cut them off. Pulse cannons lit up the black void, forcing Kirill to weave through a deadly web of fire. Dre leaned over her shoulder, pointing to weak spots in the enemy lines. "Hit there, then there. It'll break their formation," he said. Thren fired in perfect sync, and two enemy ships spiraled out of control, but the rest kept coming. An explosion rocked the Velara, throwing Hana to the floor. Still, she didn't let go of the injured alien she'd carried from the moon. Instead, she shielded him with her own body until Kirill helped her back up. Kirill couldn't stop thinking, why risk yourself for someone who isn't even your kind? As they neared the rift, Athena's voice grew sharper, entering gravitational distortion in 30 seconds. "All crew secure positions." The rift loomed ahead, a massive whirl of bending light and tearing shadows. It felt alive, as if it could swallow them whole. The enemy ships fired one last volley. A blast struck the Velara's engine housing, sending alarms screaming. "Engines at 40%. Thren shouted. Voro's hands tightened on the command rail. "If we lose more speed, we won't make it." Dre's eyes darted across the controls, then landed on a system marked with alien symbols. "What's this?" he asked. Kirill glanced at it. "Auxiliary boost drive. It's unstable, could tear the ship apart if misused." Dre's lips curved in a quick, reckless grin. "Sounds perfect." Without waiting for permission, he slammed the activation lever forward. The Velara lurched violently as raw power surged through its engines. Panels rattled, lights dimmed, and the deck groaned under the strain. The sudden burst of speed hurled them toward the rift, just as enemy ships tried to close the gap. Inside the rift, space twisted and spun. Stars stretched into strange shapes. Colors bled into each other. The ship shook as gravity pulled in unpredictable directions. Crew members gripped their stations while Dre called out quick adjustments. Kirill followed every instruction, trusting him completely despite having just met him. A massive piece of debris spun toward them. Kirill dodged left too. Slow, Hana fired the ship's side thrusters manually, pushing them just enough to avoid the collision. The entire crew exhaled in relief. Finally, after what felt like hours but was only minutes, the ship burst out of the rift into the calm dark of open space. The scanner showed no sign of enemy. Pursuit. The crew erupted in cheers. Kirill turned to Dre, still gripping the controls. "You saved us," she said. Dre just shrugged. "Your people saved us first. Consider us even." But Kirill knew it wasn't just even, something had changed. For the first time, the alien crew had fought side by side with humans, and they had seen their loyalty and courage with their own eyes. This was no longer just a rescue mission. It was the start of something far greater. The betrayals of Velara floated in the calm after the chaos, its crew catching their breath. The humans were given a small cabin to rest. But Captain Dre refused to sleep. He stayed on the command deck, quietly watching the star maps. Kirill noticed he never sat still, his eyes always scanning for threats. It was the behavior of someone who had survived too many close calls. Athena was still linked to the Velara systems. She spent hours reviewing old data, searching for any hint of where other human survivors might be. Her voice carried a calm confidence, but Kirill sensed urgency beneath it. The humans had risked everything for one another. Athena was no different. Days passed as the Velara moved deeper into uncharted space. The crew was tired, their supplies running low. When a sudden ping appeared on the scanners, the mood shifted. An alien fleet was approaching, large, but flying the colors of the Vorlek Alliance, a supposed neutral power. "They are hailing us," Thren reported. Voro agreed to open the channel. A tall, silver-skinned Vorlek commander appeared on the holoscreen. "Velara, you are far from your assigned sector," the commander said smoothly. "We will escort you to safety. Please transfer any human passengers and related data to our custody for protection." The words felt wrong. Kirill glanced at Voro, but his face was unreadable. Dre stood beside her, his jaw tightening. "They're not offering protection," he muttered under his breath. "They want control." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Voro ended the transmission and called a private meeting in the strategy room. Kirill sat in the corner, listening as the discussion turned heated. Some officers argued that handing over the humans was the safest choice. "They'll be fed, sheltered, and we avoid conflict," one said. "They are not our responsibility," another added. Kirill's chest tightened. "They are our responsibility," she argued. "They risked their lives to help us escape. We can't just give them away like cargo," one officer scoffed. "You've grown too attached to them, Kirill. This is politics, not friendship." Dre remained silent until the end. When he finally spoke, his voice was calm, but each word cut like a blade. "If you hand us over, you're no better than the pirates we escaped." He stood, eyes meeting Voro's. "We protected one of your enemies on that moon. Even when it slowed us down, we carried him. We didn't think about the risk. We just did it because it was right. Can you say the same?" Voro didn't answer immediately. The silence in the room was heavy. Finally he said, "I will consider our options," and dismissed everyone. That night Kirill couldn't sleep. She walked the corridors and overheard two crew members whispering near the docking bay. "The captain gave the order," one said. "We'll transfer the humans to the Vorlek ships at first light." Kirill's stomach twisted. She had to warn them. She slipped into the human's cabin quietly. Dre was awake, as if he'd been expecting her. "They're going to hand us over, aren't they?" he asked. Kirill nodded. "They think it's the safest choice. You need to be ready." Dre didn't look surprised. Instead, he smiled faintly. "Then we'll make sure they don't have to choose at all." At dawn, the Vorlek ships drew close, their docking arms extended, ready to receive cargo. The Velara's crew moved toward the transfer bay, but when the doors opened, the humans were gone. An alarm blared. "They've locked themselves in the auxiliary shuttle," Thren shouted. Through the viewport, Kirill saw the small craft powering up. Dre's voice came over comms. "We're leaving so your crew doesn't have to fight for us. But remember, this isn't goodbye. You'll see us again." Voro's voice roared through the ship. "Stop that shuttle. If the Vorlek catch them alone, they're dead." Karel didn't wait for orders. She sprinted to the helm. "Engage pursuit," she said. For the first time, Voro didn't argue. The Velara shot forward, the Vorlek fleet reacting too late. Karel and Dre's shuttle raced together through the void. Enemy fire lit the darkness, but the two ships moved as if they were one. Karel realized in that moment, this was no longer just about rescuing humans. It was about protecting something far rarer, a trust born in the fire of danger. The stand together, the Vorlak fleet realized too late that their easy capture had turned into a chase. The Velara and the humans' small shuttle darted through space like hunted animals, weaving between asteroid fragments and debris. Karel's hands flew over the controls, keeping pace with Dre's unpredictable maneuvers. Every time she thought he was about to make a mistake, he surprised her. His flying wasn't clean or textbook, but it worked, and it worked well. Athena's voice flowed through the comms. Calm but sharper now, multiple Vorlek vessels converging from the front. "They intend to box us in." Voro stood beside Karel, his face hard. "They have more ships, heavier weapons, better armor," he said. Dre's voice came over the line, steady as steel. "Yeah, but they don't have us working together." The Vorlek opened fire first. Bolts of blue energy lit the darkness, forcing both ships to scatter. Karel and Dre split their paths, drawing the enemy into two groups. The Velara took the larger wave, its shields straining under the barrage. The shuttle lured the smaller group toward a dense asteroid field. "This is suicide," Thren muttered as alarm screamed. Karel shook her head. "No. This is a trap." Inside the field, Dre's shuttle danced between rocks at impossible speeds. The Vorlek ships followed, their larger frames struggling to turn. Hana, seated at the weapons console, fired precisely at weak points in the asteroids. Chunks of rock slammed into enemy hulls, breaking formation. Two ships collided in the chaos, exploding in blinding light. Meanwhile, the Velara faced the bulk of the Vorlak force. Their cannons pounded the shields until they glowed red from strain, shields at 20%. Thren shouted. Voro looked at Karel. "We can't hold much longer." Karel didn't answer. Her eyes were on the tactical display. If they could just survive a little longer, Dre's plan might work. And then it happened. Dre's voice crackled over the comms. "Clear a path between you and me now." Karel fired everything she had at the Vorlak ships ahead, opening a narrow corridor of space. Through it, the shuttle came streaking out of the asteroid field, followed by a rain of debris. The rocks slammed into the Vorlak formation, scattering them and giving the Velara the opening it needed. "Now we turn this around," Dre said. The shuttle swung alongside the Velara for the first time. The two ships fought as one, the Velara delivering heavy blows, the shuttle darting in to hit blind spots. Every move was timed perfectly, as if the crews could hear each other's thoughts. On the Vorlak command ship, the silver-skinned commander snarled. "This was supposed to be simple," he hissed, but his fleet was now outmaneuvered, their formation broken. Every time they tried to regroup, the humans and aliens struck together. It was a rhythm the Vorlak could not predict, because it wasn't just strategy. It was trust. The final blow came when Hana, still carrying the injured alien from the desert moon in a med harness, fired a concentrated shot at the Vorlak flagship's engine core. The blast crippled the ship instantly, sending it drifting into the void. The remaining Vorlak vessels scattered, retreating into deep space. Silence fell on the comms for a long moment. Then the Velara's crew erupted into cheers. Karel slumped back in her chair, exhausted but alive. Voro turned to Dre. "On the holoscreen, you fly like a maniac," he said. Dre grinned. "And you fight like someone worth protecting." It wasn't victory alone that mattered, it was how they had won. The humans and aliens had not just fought side by side. They had trusted each other completely, even when the odds said they shouldn't. As the two ships drifted closer together, Karel looked at the human shuttle through the viewport. She realized something. This wasn't just about loyalty anymore. This was about something rarer, a friendship forged in the fire of battle, one that no fleet or empire could break. A new understanding. The battle was over. The stars around the Velara were calm again, broken only by the drifting wreckage of Vorlak's ships. The human shuttle floated nearby, its hull scorched but intact. For a moment, there was no sound, just the deep, steady hum of engines. It felt like the universe itself was pausing to catch its breath. Athena's voice broke the silence. Softer than before, Captain Dre's crew is safe. Mission parameters fulfilled, but there was something in her tone, something almost like pride. Kirill realized that even an AI could feel satisfaction when loyalty was rewarded. When both ships docked together, the crews met face to face in the main hangar. The alien crew, once cautious and distant toward humans, now greeted them with nods, claps on the shoulder, even small smiles. The humans, though clearly exhausted, stood tall. Hana still carried the injured alien she had saved from the desert. He was recovering now, his life no longer in danger. Voro stepped forward, his voice carrying the weight of a commander who had learned something new. "Captain Dre," he said, "I doubted the value of your loyalty. I thought it was a dangerous flaw. Today, I see. It is your greatest strength." Dre didn't smile or boast, he just nodded. Loyalty doesn't always make sense. It's not about numbers. It's about people. Kirill felt something stir in her chest. She thought back to the moment they had first picked up that faint distress signal from the Aurora. She had expected to find nothing but ghosts. Instead, she had found living proof that humans would hold to their bonds, even when the galaxy told them to let go. Later, the alien council convened via hololink. The counselors, with their robes and formal voices, asked Voro to explain why he had broken standard protocol. Voro surprised everyone by stepping aside and letting Kirill speak instead. She told them everything, from the moment they found Athena, to the moon rescue, to the battle where humans and aliens fought as one. She described how the humans protected enemies, risked themselves for strangers, and stood firm even when betrayal seemed certain. One counselor frowned. And why should such reckless behavior be admired? Kirill looked straight into the holo camera. Because in the darkest moments, it is not logic that saves you, it is the hand that refuses to let go, no matter the cost. The chamber was silent. Then another counselor spoke. "These humans, we will meet with them. Perhaps an alliance is possible." It wasn't full acceptance, but it was a first step, and Kirill knew that was enough. Back in the hangar, the crews prepared to part ways. Athena's I-Corps would remain aboard the Velara for now, her loyalty binding her to both species. Dre shook Voro's hand firmly. "If you ever need us, just send the signal," he said. Voro surprised everyone by replying, "We won't wait years to answer it." As the humans boarded their shuttle, Kirill walked with Dre. "You've changed how my people see you," she said quietly. Dre smiled faintly. "No. We just showed you what was already there." The shuttle's engines flared, carrying them into the black. Kirill stood watching until the lights vanished. She knew their paths would cross again, because that was the thing about humans. Once they called you a friend, they would cross any distance to stand by your side. Somewhere, deep in the cold silence of space, a new story was beginning. One where two very different species were bound not by treaties or trade, but by something far stronger, unmatched loyalty, and the kind of friendship that could change the galaxy forever.